My name is Christopher Liam Rose. I'm an author, mentor, life coach, motivational speaker, evangelist, musician, and activist. In the Spiritually Helping Other People video and podcast and audio, we're going to be talking about peer support coordinator. I'm just going to explain a bit about the role and if anyone would be interested in becoming a peer support coordinator, what we do, how we work, and the role itself. Um, Obviously, within my career today, I'm now a peer support coordinator. I've been obviously working in mental health services for the last 13 years. And as you can see here, badge, a peer support coordinator. So my role as a peer support coordinator is within the Sutton IRH teams, where I provide peer support to clients and carers in the community. So the first question is, what is a peer support coordinator? So a peer support coordinator manages, supervises peer support workers within the community. Now, within each borough within Southwest London, there's a peer support coordinator within the boroughs. So in Southwest London, I'm the peer support coordinator for Sutton, and I've been working in this role specifically for 2 years. Peer support coordinator role is basically managing and supervising peer support workers and running a peer support service. So in peer support work, it's always good to climb up the career ladder within peer support. So first in the NHS, you become a peer support worker, which is a band 3. You work as a band 3 as a peer support worker. Then you get that experience. Then you work as a senior peer support worker, band 4, within the NHS. Get that experience working with clients in your caseload. So in peer support worker and a senior peer support worker both have a caseload of clients. And then band 5 is a peer support coordinator, where you're more in a managerial leadership role, where you're supporting and supervising and managing peer support workers from band 4s and band 3s. So this is the natural career progression in peer support. So it's important to realize if you want to be a peer support coordinator, you need to get the experience of working in a band 3, a band 4, and then eventually moving up into a band 5 within peer support. Each band of peer support will help you in your journey in being a peer support coordinator, because you've supported clients on your caseload and you know how it is to work in community mental health services. So what does a peer support coordinator do? So we support our peer support workers and care peer support workers in the community. All peer support coordinators have lived experience of mental health, which is the most important thing about being a peer support coordinator. A lived experience of mental health conditions. So my condition is schizophrenia, depression, and psychosis, which I was diagnosed when I was about 15 years old. So as a peer support coordinator, you're using your lived experience within your role. A peer support coordinator don't have a caseload of clients. So we don't work with clients specifically as a coordinator, but we manage the frontline services in peer support, which is the peer support workers and the care of peer support workers in the community, who do provide the peer support to clients and carers in the community. Also, as a peer support coordinator, you'll be managing referrals that come through to the service in our IRH team. So all the referrals that come through, you'll be managing it and supervising it and running it. So as a peer support coordinator, it's very important to be organized, learn how to read referrals, learn how to process referrals, and a lot of administration work is needed to do the referral process in peer support. Also, as a peer support coordinator, you'll be doing presentations and talking to members of your colleagues, your team managers, and all of the NHS clinicians within an IRH team. So peer support coordinators deliver presentations to talk about peer support, to make the NHS clinicians more aware of peer support, and to promote the service. So that's part of being a peer support coordinator, to deliver presentations and talks, which is very important in IRH teams. Also, as a peer support coordinator, you'll be doing regular supervisions with peer support workers and carer peer support workers, and also managing and running the service of peer support in the community, which is very important. Also, as a peer support coordinator, you'll be making sure that the peer support service is running smoothly and operating effectively for the clients and the carers in the community. So peer support is not just client focused work, it's also carers as well. So any client that's getting referred to an IRH team can receive peer support, and any carer that's part of a client's journey in mental health services can also get carers peer support. So there's peer support and there's carers peer support. Peer support is when a peer support worker uses their lived experience to help clients on their journey of mental health recovery. Carers peer support is when a carer peer support worker has supported somebody who has a mental health condition in a caring role. So there's a difference between peer support and carers peer support. Peer support workers use their lived experience of their mental health to inspire and motivate clients in the community. Carer peer support workers uses their lived experience of caring for somebody with a mental health condition and difficulty for carers in the community. As a peer support coordinator, you'll be supporting both the peer support workers and the carer peer support workers as part of your managerial leadership, part of being a peer support coordinator, which is very important. Also, as a peer support coordinator, you'll be running the service of peer support throughout the IRH teams, depending on what borough you're part of and what area you're located in. You'll be running the service of peer support within that borough. So, like I said before, there's a peer support coordinator in every borough in Southwest London. So, Sutton, Wandsworth, Kingston, Richmond, Merton, 5 boroughs. So, there's always a peer support coordinator within the borough. Also, as well, being a peer support coordinator is a lot of leadership and management that you need to basically learn and develop in. As a peer support coordinator, you are running a team of peer support workers and carer peer support workers, and you're responsible for their well-being, maintaining the service, and helping the peer support workers and the carers peer support workers to do their work within the clients and the carers in the community. So there is a lot more responsibility in a Band 5 role, and you learn as you go when you become a peer support coordinator. Also, as a peer support coordinator, you'll be doing promotional leaflets, brochures, posters for peer support and bringing them into the IRH teams. And also, as a peer support coordinator, you will be, making sure that the peer support service is running smoothly and effectively for the clients and carers in the community. As a peer support coordinator, you have a lot more responsibility because you're the main lead for that borough. But it's very important, if you do want to become a peer support coordinator, that you go through the process of being a peer support worker Band 3, senior peer support worker Band 4, and then a peer support coordinator Band 5, and go on the journey in peer support. And then if you want to eventually move up from a peer support coordinator, then we go into the Band 6s and the Band 7 roles. So a Band 6 role will be an advanced lived experience practitioner, and a Band 7 role will be a peer support lead. So it's all going up in the bands in peer support, which is the career progression. So it's very important as well as a peer support coordinator to be organized, friendly, passionate, caring, kind, compassionate, because we're dealing with clients and carers. You may have mental health difficulties and challenges. So you have to be very mindful of, crises that happens with clients and carers, situations that can happen in the service of peer support, and managing a team of peer support workers and carer peer support workers. Also, with being a peer support coordinator, you need to look after your own mental health and your own well-being, because you are using your lived experience to sometimes share to the NHS clinicians or to promote the service of peer support. So looking after yourself is very important. And also as well, being a peer support coordinator, you need to make sure that you focus on, what's very important for the clients and the carers in the community, run the service. So that's basically some of the things that you do as a peer support coordinator. And also as well, as a peer support coordinator, you actually basically talk to community services within that borough. So you work alongside the peer support workers and the community services in that borough and provide peer support and also connect with different services. So, for example, Citizens Advice Bureau, it could be Age UK, it could be any community services within the borough, depending on the location and the area of where you're working as a peer support coordinator. And also remember as well, as a peer support coordinator, it's a very responsible role. So you need to make sure you're ready to take that responsibility and provide that peer support to the community of clients and carers within that borough. So these are some of the things you do as a peer support coordinator. It's a very rewarding role. I've been doing it for nearly 2 years now within certain RH teams. I'm very passionate about peer support. My life and my career has been built on being a peer support worker and working up in the NHS for many years now. And just remember, as a peer support coordinator, your lived experience is the most important thing in all parts of being a peer support coordinator. Using the essence of what peer support is all about, the values and the principles of peer support. So I encourage the listeners and the viewers, if you do want to become a peer support coordinator, there's charities, there's organizations, there's the NHS where you can apply for peer support coordinator roles. It's a very rewarding role, very special role of leadership and management. And, just focus on what you can do for the clients and the carers and your role as a peer support coordinator for the peer support workers and the carer peer support workers in the community. And remember, leadership and management is always a rewarding journey. And you can make so many differences in people's lives by supporting your team, promoting the service, and being there for the clients and carers. And you'll do well as a peer support coordinator. That's all I wanted to share in this video and audio. I hope you do become a peer support coordinator. Remember, focus on the clients and the carers and focus on your lived experience of peer support. Remember, a peer support coordinator doesn't have a caseload of clients or carers. They just support peer support workers and carer peer support workers in the community. Remember, leadership and management is a very rewarding thing. So I hope that's helped. Thank you for listening now. Take care now. Goodbye. Thanks.